Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the shocking story of Carlos Santana. At Woodstock in 1969, Carlos Santana's fingers flashed over his guitar, transforming an obscure performer into a. This is the true story of how a forgotten legend outsmarted the entire music industry. Born in Jalisco, Mexico, the guitar legend was a national sensation in 1998 but was unable to get a record deal because labels reportedly thought he was too old at 52. 12 months later, however, this washed-up guitarist would release an album that sold an estimated 25 to 27 million copies, won 8 Grammy Awards, and generated an estimated $50 million for an artist the industry had abandoned. How did a man on the verge of financial ruin pull off the greatest comeback in rock history? The answer lies in an unlikely friendship, a desperate gamble, and a strategy so risky it could have destroyed his last shred of credibility. After relocating to San Francisco in the 1960s, Carlos Santa learned how to play the guitar from his father, a mariachi musician. He then formed a band that combined rock guitar and Latin percussion, creating a sound that no one had heard before. Their 1969 Woodstock performance altered everything by playing through a drug-induced haze. Young Colia executive Clive Davis signed them right away after Santana's guitar work on Soul Sacrifice became the festival's defining moment. By 1971, Santana had released 3 multi-platinum albums, Black Magic Woman and Oi Kova dominated radio, and the band that had previously performed for Tips in San Francisco now filled Madison Square Garden. Then came the fall of the 1980s hit Santana Hard album, when sales fell off as he experimented with jazz fusion, alienating his rock audience. The band's rotating door saw over 40 musicians come and go, and each new release sold worse than the last, until the 1990s brought complete collapse. When Columbia Records dropped him in 1994 after 22 years, his 1992 album Magro did not perform well, peaking at number 101 on the Billboard 200. At industry meetings, executives reportedly showed little interest in his new material, while Clapton and other contemporary artists experienced comebacks. In an interview with the Rolling Stone on February 3, 2000, Santana acknowledged that he would probably be a hobo if it weren't for my wife, who in 1994 helped reorganize the business side of my life. He reported that his tour guarantees had fallen from about $50,000 per night to as low as $10,000. Santana found himself playing casinos to half-empty rooms. Behind the spiritual exterior, Santana was in financial devastation. Desperate, he consented to feature in a documentary about Clive Davis, which changed the course of music history. Encouraged by his wife, Santana approached Davis about signing to Arista Records following the filming. Santa, the spiritual guitarist who spoke about cosmic energy and burned incense during business meetings, and Davis, the Harvard-educated executive in tailored suits who had launched Whitney Houston's career, couldn't have been more different. This wasn't just another pitch meeting, it was his last chance at relevance. I had nothing to lose. When Davis reviewed Santana's new material, he didn't sugarcoat his response, saying, "Your songs suck." Instead of dismissing him outright, Davis made a proposal that would test Santana's ego, work with contemporary artists to bridge the generation gap. For a man who had built his legacy on artistic independence, this was a devastating blow. Later, Santana revealed that no one else would even listen to my demos. At 52, facing financial ruin, EMI Records purportedly proposed a rival agreement worth far more money, but without Davis's artistic direction. Santana made the most difficult choice of his professional life when he agreed to sign with Arista for less money, but Davis assured him that he could restore his relevance. Santa decided on the lesser salary because Arista believed in Davis's concept. He merely said, "Clive knows something no one else sees," when asked why. Santana bet his entire legacy on a man he hardly knew with that handshake in January 1997, setting the stage for either the most unlikely comeback in rock history or a career-ending embarrassment. Davis's plan stunned everyone by proposing something radical rather than bringing back Santana's sound from the 1970s, pairing Santana's guitar with the sexiest contemporary vocalists of 1998. The plan immediately ran into problems when Davis's team called current hitmakers and received harsh reactions. "My artists don't work with dinosaurs who aren't interested in initiatives involving career rehabilitation." The discovery was made via an unexpected source, Rob, when George Michael passed on the Latin-influenced song, Smooth, which Thomas, the frontman for Matchbox 20, had co-written. Davis saw the ideal vehicle for Santana's return. When Thomas and Santana recorded the song, their chemistry was electric, and Davis used the song to persuade other musicians. Lauryn Hill, who had just won a Grammy, consented to produce the project, which was more than just charity work. Behind-the-scenes conflicts increased during the recording process, which was spread across several studios with some participants never meeting Santana in person, and the budget reportedly skyrocketed to an estimated $3 million. Maria Eric Clapton participated to the album because he was drawn to Santana's heritage. A huge risk on a forgotten artist gone bard, Pete. When Santa rejected pop-friendly production methods, Davis's A&R executive became the project's secret weapon, making sure each song struck a balance between commercial appeal and Santa's genuine guitar voice. Santana apparently had moments of doubt throughout the recording process, but Davis persuaded him to sleep on it. The next morning, Santana called back, saying, "I'm in all the way." Davis stepped in and said, "Trust me, Carlos. I didn't bring you this far to fail you now." Millions had been spent on an artist by May 1999, but everyone else had rejected them. On June 15, 1999, Arista released Supernatural with the cautious expectation of selling 500,000 copies. Davis was getting ready to release a make-or-break hack record that would either bring back Santana or put a stop to Davis's illustrious hitmaking streak. In an attempt to regain relevance, store orders were modest. Music critics who wrote ambivalent evaluations for that 1970s guitarist before Smooth hit radio. Program directors from 5 different formats, rock pop, adult contemporary Latin, and urban dubbed Arista, demanded promotional copies by week 3, and the response was prompt, within 48 hours. Smooth became the final #1 song of the decade after entering Billboard's top 10 4 weeks later and peaking at #1 for 12 weeks in a row. Everyone was startled by the sales figures. The 52-year-old instrumental guitarist's song, Maria, became Santa's second consecutive #1 hit in October after miraculously selling 1 million copies in its first month and surpassing 5 million copies by September. The Backstreet Boys, NYNC and Britney Spears on pop radio. When Supernatural won the first 2 Grammy Awards, industry insiders assumed those were courtesy nods to a legend. It then won a 3rd award and a 4th by Night's End. The album's success was unprecedented. It topped charts in 11 countries simultaneously by December 1999, and by that time, Santa's team reportedly attracted renewed interest from record executives.